I've got some breaking news for you. Johnson & Johnson's talc-based baby powder was supposed to be pulled off all American and Canadian shelves in 2020 due to cancer-causing health concerns. In November 2022, I was able to find what looks like one of the company's Indonesian talc-based baby powders in a Canadian pharmacy called Jean Coutu. What is this product doing being sold on pharmacy shelves in 2022? Unbelievable. Johnson & Johnson has been facing one of the darkest types of allegation a brand can face, and nobody is talking about it. The conversation in pop culture is too hogged up by celebrity antics to leave us with any bandwidth to pay attention to what might be killing us right under our noses. If you're a consumer of cosmetics, if you're a visible minority, if you're a woman, or if you literally just use the internet and care about your life, you need to know what's been going on with Johnson & Johnson. Baby powder is an iconic product. It's been a staple in most households throughout the decades. Between 1930 and 1990 alone, it's estimated that baby powder was used on nearly half the children born in the United States. But when you think about baby powder, you think about Johnson & Johnson's baby powder. Johnson & Johnson managed to literally become the product in the same way jacuzzi literally became hot tubs. The company's baby powder accounted for a minuscule amount of their net sales. But in the company's own words, it was their number one asset, foundational in building the brand's clean, trustworthy, family-friendly reputation. Over the past decade, though, that reputation and image has slowly but surely started to show some serious cracks. Currently, 40,000 cancer patients, mostly women, have filed lawsuits against the company, claiming that their baby powder was responsible for causing their ovarian cancers and mesothelioma. The idea is that the talc found in baby powder may have been contaminated with asbestos during the mining process. The company firmly denies this, though. According to them, talc is and has always been safe. Any health concerns related to talc can be boiled down to nothing more than misinformation. Now, all these claims should be considered with an equal amount of seriousness. Nobody's story matters more or less than another. However, there is one claim, though, I couldn't help but zero in on. A Pandora's box of grease. In September 2021, news broke that an advocacy group called the National Council of Negro Women was suing Johnson & Johnson for aggressively targeting their marketing to African American communities after the company knew its baby powder had been linked to asbestos, ovarian cancer, mesothelioma, death. You get the idea. This marketing strategy being a kind of last-ditch effort to try and squeeze as much money as they could out of a dying product. A product that was dying because people were allegedly dying from the product. Is everybody here? Yeah. Okay. Let's begin. Now, the company vehemently, unequivocally, fervently, as press releases like to say, denies this characterization. This suggestion that we somehow went out of our way to target a particular already marginalized group with a potentially harmful product is incredibly offensive and patently false. Yes, because there's no historical precedent to that kind of behavior. Not even the fact that you once used Black prisoners as guinea pigs to test your tear-free shampoo and talc-based products. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get back to the press conference. So this is Wes for NPR. So in 1971, researchers in Wales found talc in cervical and ovarian tumors of women. Within a month, you then sent your own scientists to do further testing on the tissues, and they confirmed the presence of talc in the sample. Some of them found asbestos in the tumor as well. Yeah. Well, those samples may have been contaminated. Next question. Okay, well, in 2006, an arm of the WHO began classifying cosmetic talc, such as baby powder, as possibly carcinogenic when women used it as genital antiperspirants and deodorant. Your talc supplier, Luzinac America, actually started including that information on its shipments to you and other customers. That same year, according to your own marketing presentation, you decided to focus on selling your product in underdeveloped geographical areas with hot weather and high African American populations. Thank you for that question, Wes. Johnson & Johnson has always been and will continue to be a pioneer of the practice of multicultural marketing. All right, well, 2 years later, in an internal email, your own global creative director, Todd True, raised some concerns. He was asking you what the value was, aside from cost, in keeping this controversial ingredient in the product when you could just as easily replace it with cornstarch, as other brands had already done. According to Todd True, replacing the product seemed like an easy fix. Okay, we have no further comment. Have a great day. Now, the optics around this story are terrible. The narrative literally sounds like baby powder sales plummet over time because studies point to the fact that this shit is dangerous for kids. Ingredients don't change. New marketing, new me. We are now a women's brand. You can only be fresh, desirable, feminine, and fertile smelling thanks to our baby powder. Sales continue to plummet because, surprise, women aren't idiots. And at that point, the company starts scrambling and they're like, who doesn't know our shit's gonna kill us? Who do we sell our products to now? And then some overeager intern puts together a PowerPoint presentation and he's like, oh, I know. Black people. According to internal Johnson & Johnson's communications, at the time, 60% of African American women were still using Johnson & Johnson's baby powder in comparison to about 30% of the general population during that same time period. Because while the rest of the population had woken up to the fact that this product was potentially toxic, clearly racialized communities hadn't gotten the memo yet. To sell its baby powder to African Americans and Hispanics in America, Johnson & Johnson partnered with marketing agencies that had deep ties with those communities. They managed to position the product in a way that leveraged the trust that certain community leaders and institutions had with the people. Through networks of churches, beauty salons, barber shops, entertainment venues, healthcare networks, Johnson & Johnson was able to hand out millions of free samples. They also collaborated with radio DJs who had clout in those communities to run promotions and ads. If J&J knew its products were harmful, this strategy would have effectively managed to use the community as a pawn in a play to squeeze money out of a dying product that would then go to hurt that same community, which I don't think it gets any sleazier sounding than that, but it does. The company has supposedly pulled all its talc-based baby powder off American and Canadian shelves in 2020. It did decide, though, to continue selling its talc-based baby powder in what we can arguably say are developing countries such as India, Pakistan, Indonesia, and China. I don't know if China is still considered a developing country at this point. Because, you know, if Black people now know that this product might be dangerous, who might not know yet? Oh yes, poor people in developing countries. Well, I've got some breaking news for you. Johnson & Johnson's talc-based baby powder was supposed to be pulled off all American and Canadian shelves in 2020 due to cancer-causing health concerns. In November 2022, I was able to find what looks like one of the company's Indonesian talc-based baby powders in a Canadian pharmacy called Jeankutsu. The product doesn't even conform to Canadian advertising standards. The packaging isn't in French and it's not even in English. Everything seems to be in Indonesian. What the is this product doing being sold on Canadian pharmacy shelves in 2022? What do you have to say for yourself? Unbelievable. This story is important for many reasons. The baby powder scandal makes you think about the ethics of targeted marketing. There is no ethics. You and I most likely accept all cookies and all terms and conditions. Big tech knows everything about us, all our vulnerabilities. How do we know that they won't use that information to take advantage of us? And what checks and balances do we currently have in place to protect us from being exploited by these companies? If we take America, for instance, with cosmetics, you're on your own. The onus is currently on the consumer to protect, educate, and inform his, her, or themselves. And this will always leave marginalized, racialized, poor, uneducated communities at a disadvantage. Companies in the cosmetics industry in America today are, quote, not required to test their products before selling them. They do not have to register with the FDA to provide ingredient statements, and they do not have to produce their safety records for scrutiny or report of adverse events, whether rashes, headaches, early puberty, or even cancer. If a cosmetics product is life-threatening, the agency cannot recall that product or suspend its production. It could only encourage a company to do so. Basically, in America, the government trusts companies to do the right thing. Well, doing the right thing, according to Johnson & Johnson, is a little legal maneuver called the Texas two-step. Allow me to explain. As a result of the litigation surrounding their baby powder product, J&J created a subsidiary company. It attached all talc-related liabilities to that company, and then it had that company file for bankruptcy, aka the Texas two-step. What this move does is halt all legal proceedings against the parent company. It potentially saves them from future lawsuits. It shields the company's assets from liability. The company also gets to determine how much they're willing to put aside to settle claims. The settlements are taken out of a trust the company has set up, which means that the settlements would most likely be capped. Also, what this means is that these 40,000 cancer patients might not get to have their cases heard and tried by a jury of their peers. Everything will go through one judge in bankruptcy court. This move has been controversial and widely criticized, to say the least. The idea is that A, it takes advantage of the bankruptcy system, giving the company all the benefits of filing for bankruptcy without any of the reputational or financial damage regular people would have to experience as a result of filing for bankruptcy. B, it strips plaintiffs of their constitutional rights and jury trial rights. Basically, word on the street is that this is just another way for the company to weasel its way out of accountability. According to the company, though, this is just the best way to ensure an equitable and efficient outcome for all claimants. And now, just like Facebook's makeover into Meta after the 2021 leak, after this scandal, Johnson & Johnson decided that their next best move was to rebrand. Today, the arm of the company that owns its baby powder asset is called Kenvue. Because of course, if you change your color palette to white and green, the people are stupid enough to forget that you are allegedly rotten to the core.